Okay. Just got done doing 3 tests of extreme low light between the Fuji X-PRO2 and the Nikon D750 that I'm filming this video with. I've already posted up samples of one test. Post more. I'm sick as a dog, so I'll try to make this brief. So, now, it is a fact that Nikon's low-light winner, in other words, the camera that will just spank every other Nikon in extreme low light, is the D750. Now, it is the case that larger photo sites over an identical period of time have higher gain. However, SNR, signal-to-noise ratio firmware, is always improving. It is, of course, the case that the Fuji X-PRO2 has smaller photo sites, so there is more translational data per square millimeter on the sensor than there is on any typical full-frame sensor. So if you actually take that into effect when comparing the two, since they're kind of apples and oranges, since there is more data, regardless of what the test results are, which I'm about to tell you, then there is more data, on the sensor of the Fuji X-PRO2. So taking those things into consideration, it is the case after high ISO testing using the exact same lens, the Nikkor 35mm f2 on the Fuji and on the Nikon on tripod, mirror up, everything perfectly in focus, and it was just dark. Like, how dark was it? It was darker than a coal miner's butthole. I mean, it was just, I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. So 3 stops in that kind of light. I did 1 stop under, 2 stops under, 2.5 stops under, and 3 stops under. See the picture links below, and you'll see the comparison, and wow. Taking into account the difference in pixel pitch between this DX sensor and, the full frame, ultimately it is the case that the Fuji X-PRO2 just spanks the fanny of the D750. It just spanks it. Particularly, now even, this is also taken into consideration by me using noise reduction software in post, that there is unrecoverable information that makes, in addition, this is one factor, unrecoverable information on the D750 RAW file. Everything was shot in max resolution RAW on the X-PRO2 and the D750. Unrecoverable information even after noise reduction software is used. What was horrible on the D750 at 3 stops under, and it was just, it was just pitch black. It was just dark as hell. And I underexposed 3 stops on both cameras as maximum test. The random noise was abysmal. You see the pictures below on the Flickr where I've got them side by side. I'll upload the RAWs at some point in time. I was actually surprised because the D750, is the low light winner from Nikon. And it is. It's, you can, those conditions are not something that you would encounter. When you can't see your hand in front of your face, really. Well, I kind of could after I adjusted. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face, and I underexposed by 3 stops. Those aren't really shooting conditions unless you're talking about tripod work and time exposure. So, they're unrealistic, but nevertheless, people wanted me to test it. So, the Fuji just spanked the D750. Unrecoverable details on the D750 RAW, they could not be recovered even after using noise reduction software. Way too much random noise on the D750. The blacks, excuse me, I'm about to die here, I'm so sick. The D750, the blacks, way too much noise. I did, obviously, excuse me, I'm sick. Obviously, I did have to discount, the finer edge details because, it's a DX sensor. It has a finer pixel pitch, so that's the thing that actually catches people up. If you pay attention to that in the images of the side-by-sides, you'll be making a mistake. I ignored that for good reason. Different pixel pitch. So it is the case. Did 1 stop, 2 stops, 2.5 stops, and 3 stops. Underexposure, tripod, exact same lens on both camera, so don't take the lens into consideration. And I was surprised. I thought at the very best the X-PRO2 would like come really close, but the D750 would would still trounce it. But it was the case that the X-PRO2, and the very last shot, the last comparison that I uploaded was a one stop under. Yeah, it was no, excuse me, it was 1.5 stop under on the D750, and then I raised the exposure on all of them in post. 1.5 stop under on the D750 and 2.5 stop under on the X-PRO2, and I raised them up in the exposure in post, and the X-PRO2 still looked better at 2.5 stops underexposed than the D750 did at 1.5 stops under, and that's like, what? That's amazing. Now, if anybody wants to come in and chirp about Fuji's ISOs being off, well, they can kiss my fanny. Not the case. It cannot account for the 1.5 stop versus the 2.5 stop, and it can't account for the huge discrepancy between the blacks and the random noise. Because the random noise on the D750 is just, whew, it's out there. So all of those are done at ISO 6400. Remember, of course, ISO is not sensitivity, and ISO is not exposure. Only aperture and shutter speed are exposure. But they're all kept at ISO 6400. Everybody wanted me to do extreme low light, extreme high ISO, and that's what I did. And I was shocked with the results. I didn't think it would happen, but it did. So take a look for yourself. If you like this video, you can send me a box of Tylenol or some nose spray, which I've already taken like a ton of, and or a buck or two for me to buy some Tylenol. Catch you later. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm dying.